So now that day 5 is basically coming down to the evening, this is, I would say, about the time where things kind of start getting a little bit more interesting compared to the day. So, and since we're doing Alyssa, from what I've seen, she doesn't have day 6 or 7 choices, so it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out as far as her ending goes. But every choice that I made so far should lead to her good ending because those are all the choices that I made leading up to this point. But you never know. See what happens. Walking you shall reach is was exactly this proverb that kept whirling in my head all the way down to the camp leader's cabin. But basically, there is a choice that towards the end of this that has to do with Alyssa, and it's pretty much the only one that I see here. So somehow I just could manage to argue to pretend that I'm sick or just to skip it without a reason. The events of this day taught me submissiveness, although sometimes whatever was happening made no sense to me. As I walked in, I had a thought. Well, in fact, how should I get ready? Clothes. I only have an overcoat and a pair of jeans. Anyway, I forgot to ask whether it's going to be an overnight hike or not. I couldn't think of anything better, so I grabbed the sweater that I had on me when I arrived in the camp. The night might be fairly chilly, and shuffled slowly up to the square. All the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes before the time Olga had designated. I settled down near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. Viewed from the outside, what a fairly comical picture we would make. A crowd of pioneers lined up out of sheer habit, like they were awaiting a silent command from the bronze Gender. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. And there he is, waving his hand and screaming attack as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs charged into the battle against some ghostly enemy. But Olga Dmitrinova showed up and started to talk instead of Gender. It seems everybody is here. Great. I was so tired today that I couldn't even think about anything, so I ended up just listening to the camp leader. I know that feeling, especially for mornings for me. They don't do too good. No, today we'll go hiking. It is essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to help a helping hand in the hour of need, saving him from a hopeless situation. We have to learn to do all these things together. A whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd, suggested that most probably this truly epic expedition would end in a clearing in the forest several hundred feet away from the square. Somehow, I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs. So, you haven't chosen a partner for yourself yet? Now's the time to do so. Pioneers quickly caught on to the idea and started to match in pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a partner. It's kind of funny how that plays out. Slavia was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga. Lena was with Miku. Electronic was, of course, with Sure. Wonder if those two kind of have some type of relationship we don't know of. Behind the scenes kind of thing, right? Hint, hint. I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me, because he kind of constantly worries about him, type of thing. But it's probably not what I'm thinking anyway. Well, but it might be not a bad idea to go alone after all. Or it could be a sign that, you know what, these guys they're just side guys. They don't really get around with characters. They don't get with any of the girls that whoever you get with, they don't get with the other girl kind of thing, right? It's like it's classic of almost every anime out there, right? Where the guy that's usually not the protagonist, they usually don't get with anybody. It's more like the girls kind of just find ways to flock around the main guy. It's like, what about him? He don't get nobody? Nope, that's not how it works. Some yen. The voice of the camp leader pulled me out of my thoughts. I went up to her reluctantly. I see that you haven't found a partner. Seems like it. Then you'll join Xenia. She is alone too. It's kind of funny that they just kind of randomly pair you with her. It's kind of funny. You would think all the choices, the game would just kind of automatically pair you with the person that you kind of made choices of, or at least most of anyway. But it doesn't really go that way. It's kind of funny though. I was struck with that special kind of despair that only a true pirate, a loner, can experience. So it appears that I'm left with the prickly librarian that I wouldn't risk spending a couple of hours with even if I was paid for it. Although we both seem to be in the same boat now. I slowly approached Xenia. Wow, I guess we'll be going together. She looked up at me. More like, look at you? Don't you even think that I'm glad? Probably not, said Xenia seriously. Why on earth would you... Why on earth you should feel glad? I asked naively. Never mind. It would be much better if you just shut up. Lord. I can't tell who more is the tsundere, you or Alyssa back there. I'm gonna guess it's more you because you always kind of have this poutiness. But then again, maybe it's a different type of personality for her that I'm hard to describe. I don't know. It's more like I don't want to be bothered type thing. You know, it's kind of what it kind of reminds me of anyway. Uh, I couldn't get any better than this. She turned her back on me and followed the other pioneers. Go figure. I still haven't seen any special reason to walk in pairs. Anyway, we were walking on the well-trodden forest trails, and it would be quite difficult to get lost here even if I wanted to. Moreover, while we'd already been hiking for half an hour, we weren't rushing into the depths of the forest trying to face all the dangers that could test our courage and harden our pioneer spirits, but instead we were just walking around in circles. However, if we take into account that Olga was our chief, this hike could be compared to a hobbit's march from the Shire to Mordor. Lord. Just as you insisted, I was following her at a distance in silence. Are you thinking of the Lord of the Rings when you're thinking that there, bud? I don't know. The librarian seemed to be perfectly okay with it, because that's usually what comes to mind when I hear that. Hey, don't you know when we'll reach our destination? Oh, what? The place where we'll settle down and set up camp? The whole point of this hike isn't to set up camp, but the hiking itself. Oh, wow. You don't get it. I guess not. Here, I think I can kind of relate to him. It's like, what's the point? I mean, we're just going hiking? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to camp when you're hiking. But you gotta stop some point, right? Yeah, it seemed that I didn't understand a thing about hiking. I guess you're right, but still. I mean, I know about mountain hiking. It's more like, you gotta go. But you're not gonna take the whole trip up the mountain. It's just impossible to do that. So you gotta at certain occasions like stop, take some rest here or there, right? I don't know. I don't know. She replied sharply and quickened her pace. I actually really forwarded this a little bit, caught up with her and asked, "Listen, why are you always so?" I was about to say mean, but stopped short. I haven't done anything bad to you, and I'm not going to. Okay? She glared at me in surprise. Always so what? Well, unsociable, kind of. Or is it something about me? Oh, cut that stupidity out already. Yeah, it probably is, isn't it? That kind of expression in your face. You always do that. It's like, what is that? I don't know. It's like, I want nothing to do with you kind of thing. I don't know. As you wish. I don't know. I decided not to start I mean, did they design her like this on purpose just so you couldn't get on a route with her? Is that what it is? Where she's only kind of like a bonus thing? Like, okay, she don't have like, you don't give her points or any of that. She does have like some minor little route thing that basically is kind of why she's in this camp pretty much. That's pretty much what that's all about. What, like I said, I might do that, once I can complete the entire game, but by then I might be a little drained, but we'll see on it though. If it's something I'm able to do with the version of this game that I have, we'll see on it if she's available. If not, by the time I do Eula at that point, the whole plot of the game would be solved by then. I don't even know where she would fit in at that point. Because her even being in this camp, it's kind of like, is it going to turn out that she's kind of a coincidence that she's here too, like Simeon, but she's like, she goes about it in her own way. I don't know. But they certainly don't give you a route where you could get with her in the long run type of thing. It's like, so it almost seems like they kind of made her this way on purpose to where you can't get with her. But, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense either though, because Alyssa's personalities kind of similar, but she also uses it as a more or less to put up a wall rather than letting you get in. Here, it's more like with Xenia, it's more like I don't want nothing to do with you kind of thing. It's not a wall. She's just this way naturally, so it's like I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe it though. Alas, Olga decided to end this Sisyphean toil. It's time to hope. The place chosen turned out to be a quite large glade with a few tree trunks laid in half circle to make an improvised arbor with the remains of a campfire in the middle. Obviously, such hikes are a tradition of this camp. I was sent to gather firewood together with the other boys. It didn't take long because there were a lot of branches and logs of various sizes lying around. Eventually, Olga lit the fire using some old newspapers. I was eager to know what was written there, but couldn't discern anything other than Soviet symbols. Pioneers took their places on the fallen log benches and started to talk about things. It seems that the final goal of this event had been achieved. Okay, the only things were missing were a pot of fish soup, aluminum cups of vodka, and a guitar. But I wouldn't be surprised if these would appear somehow. What are you thinking about? Slavia sat next to me. Oh, nothing special. Just enjoying the hike. I answered sarcastically. You don't look too happy. Well, I'm not about to jump for joy. Sorry about that. Okay, I won't disturb you. She sat with me for a while, but after realizing that I wasn't in the mood of talking, she left me to enjoy my introspection all alone. And all I wished for was to lie down in bed and fall asleep as soon as possible, but I was being surrounded by smoke and the useless chatter of pioneers around me instead. They were cheering and laughing and in general enjoying this warm summer evening. And the far side of the glade, I noticed that Lena was arguing with Alisa intensively. Tensely, I mean. Tensely and Lena seemed to be complete opposites to me. Slavia had to go somewhere after our conversation, it seems. Electronic and Shirk were trying furiously to prove something to Olga. Looks like I'm the only one who doesn't belong here. Wow, obviously we're not going to stay seated this time, so let me make a quick save on this. Because, like I said, it has nothing to do with this. You only stay seated if a few choices play out when you stay seated, though, kind of thing. One of them leads to, I do believe, Slavia, and I think another one pops up with Ilyana, but I'm not exactly sure on that. But since we're dealing with Alisa here, we're gonna find out, which also plays a little bit with both of these girls. Route, it's kind of funny on that. Lena also kind of plays into this as well. So we're actually gonna find out what this whole thing is about in general. But Alisa is the one that we're pursuing, so hopefully this all works out in the end. Only Lena and Alisa stood out among all this splendor. Well, of course, it was quite natural for Alisa to be arguing with someone like that. But hearing Lena talk in a raised voice, I came closer silently, trying to understand what was going on. Now, you listen to me. Oh boy. Think whatever you want. I've said everything. They look serious. Yeah, but it's kind of funny with Alisa. I'm used to her looks. Lena's looks, when she gets this kind of face, it's scarier than Alyssa's face. It just is. It's like, because you don't really see that kind of expression, right? With Alyssa, it's, you see it quite often. So over time, it really has no effect. When Lena does these types of things, it's usually out of the blue. So it's like, because she, the way that she kind of is, so when she shows a different expression, it's like, holy moly, I don't want to be around you right at this second. It's like, that's scary. Oh no. I tried as hard as I could to not attract any attention and look like I'm just standing there with no intention of listening in on them. But you did anyway, because I made the choice. There's nothing to think about. Everything is as clear as day. Don't try to win me around your little finger like that. I know you too well. Why, of course you know everything. Then why won't you tell him yourself? Oh boy. So, kind of like about, I'm guessing they're talking about him. It's kind of funny. Lena was getting angry. Thought it was really weird, even considering that I didn't know what they were arguing about. I do. I think I kind of know where this is going. That's none of your business. Alyssa snorted, turned around, and her eyes met mine. Oh boy, where were you? A second later, Lena gave me a look as well. Oh boy. Because you kind of stumbled in on them when they weren't expecting. The girl stood there in confusion for some time. Oh boy. Yeah. Lord. Eavesdropping. Yeah, he kind of was. Why'd you pause? Me? Oh, no. I was just, like, passing by. I put on the best smile I had, but it didn't seem to help much. You're not helping yourself, no. By the way, today he was peeping at me. Kind of peeping you talking. I mean, if you was naked, you weren't doing any of that, so... unless if there was some off-screen type of peeping I didn't know about. You have to clue me in on that one. Because when she gets this kind of look, you know she's full of it. Alyssa here, it's like, you're not telling the truth, you know. Or there's another way you can, it's like two different things you could think of when she has this look. It's like either you have something up your sleeve kind of thing, right? Or you're not telling the truth. That's usually one or the other. Alyssa gave a malicious smile. Of course. Lena looked at me questioningly. You took him out of their conversation, whatever was going on there. First of all, why would she believe this devious Fox's stories? You never know. I didn't peep. You know quite well that it was an accident. Oyana should be the one to blame. Oh, okay, now it's coming back to me. I forgot about that. It's the last part that I put up. Or maybe the part before, maybe. It's one of those parts. I don't even recall now. Yeah, where he kind of was there. But they also kind of, it's like, it was coincidence they all happened to be there. I don't know. You can't really blame Oyana because both of them showed up in the scene. And she caught you. You kind of let yourself get caught there, Simeon. So I'm not exactly sure what happened. But you were hidden in some bushes. But I always say, you know, eventually, it's just like, you know, most animes out there, you know, they find ways to get this person caught. It's just the way it goes. Sure it was. Tell that to the cops. And since he's close to your age, how much trouble could he get in that? He was peeping on you. Okay, but it's not like he went to go hide in the bushes, right? So what are you gonna tell the cop? Like, I was naked. I was outside with, you know, my friend, and he was in the bushes. Okay. Yeah, it might make him a little bit suspicious, but since that cop doesn't know when he got there or when they got there, what's he gonna do? Arrest him for that? Can't do that. Or maybe they could. I don't know. Who knows with police sometimes, you know. Seems like my excuse was not working. Did you like my boobs? Of course he did. My goodness. Shiver ran up my spine. Well, I didn't see anything back there. Look at Lena's face. That's just funny. Is that true? Oh my god. Pouring face though, I don't know. How do you go from the, I don't know, it's like what I say about her, she's like a sly dog. I'm talking about this here. Lena's face, you know, I don't know. Why do you say it was an accident? I didn't see anything there. You didn't. Well, I can show you again. I mean, the screen would go blank. I wouldn't have to see it. I mean, if YouTube wasn't so, you know, I don't know, the way that they are about, you know, flesh being shown on screen, I would say more the merrier. You can show me anytime, but YouTube wouldn't allow that. Oh, no. Although there is always Pornhub out there. I could always, you know... But you have to sign up and put credit cards in a bunch of stuff. I don't, you know, I don't want a bunch of spam on my phone, so I'm pretty good on that, man. So, I don't browse any type of, like, porn sites where you can, like, you know, upload. There's certain ones out there that kind of let you do that, where you could take a scene like, you know, tits or something like that, or an H scene, and you can upload it. But... You see the type of things that go in there and the amount of spam that comes in at different porn sites. Even Pornhub gets a lot of them. And yeah, I'm good on my phone, being brick kind of thing. I don't know. It's just, I tend to stay away from them for that reason. Alyssa cried in anger. I didn't know what to say. You see, I told you. No, no. Lena started to mumble and rushed away a moment later. Well, whatever you kind of interrupted, obviously got them to stop talking. Well, Semyon here. So it's kind of interesting how that played out. Wait, what happened? I shouted after her. You see what you did? That girl's upset now. She gave a spiteful smile. First of all, it wasn't me who upset her. Second, I don't have any idea what you two were arguing about. I was running out of patience. What should I tell you? It seems like she thought that our talk was over and was about to leave. I grabbed her hand abruptly. Oh boy. Being aggressive there, are we? Mr. glanced at me in fear but didn't say anything. Okay. I was angry at that moment, really angry. First, I was wildly enraged that Lena was upset because of me, even though I was actually kind of guilty. Second, I was enraged by Alyssa's insolence. You have to expect, it's just kind of how she is, Bud there, Semyon. I don't know. Third, I was so tired that I was about to lose my temper at the smallest thing. Happy now? I hissed, pointing into the darkness when Lena had run off. He only seemed to have the guts to bomb memorials and hurt innocent girls. She looked frightened, saddened, and confused at the same time. She herself could hurt anyone. You just don't know her. There is a lot that she's saying about Lena here. Now, I'm not gonna mention you by your name because I said it one time. But if you happen to be watching this or when you get to it, I decided that I'm not going to include Lena's bad ending, but what I will do is make a review on her bad ending. So when I do Lena's route, once I get to her good ending and complete all that, I would do a portion of her bad ending and then explain why I didn't care for it, kind of thing. I mean, yeah, it's kind of an interesting read, but let's just say, those of you that, because I don't want to spoil the other subs that haven't really seen Lena's route or any of these characters in general, except for the first one I did with Slavia. But, let's just say, I didn't like the way that the game just kind of forced whatever happened there with those two. I just felt a little bit forced. By the time you get to that choice, but you get to, day 7 with, Lena anyway, actually, if you go into day 6, I think it starts from there a little bit, towards the end of it anyway. And then you get that long progression. You do eventually start seeing a different side to her, eventually. But when you follow with her good ending, you see why it kind of makes more sense to kind of keep her in a different way rather than going the other way with her. But what Alyssa's saying here a little bit, she's not exactly wrong, but at the same time, it's kind of there's only so much that Lena shows to people. In some ways, these two, I wouldn't say that they're similar. It's kind of why they share points in some ways. But you have to be careful about how many points you give each girl if you're pursuing one of these girls' routes. It's the same thing with Slavia and Ilyana. If you're going for, let's say, I don't know, out of the 4 heroines, keep in mind that with the walkthroughs, each one, that at least in the guide that I've been following anyway, Alyssa and Lena seem to be, I wouldn't say that they're rivals kind of thing, but I don't know. They go about certain things in their own way. Alyssa, it's more like you could just tell she's hiding something. With Lena, it's more like you gotta read more to it, right? Okay, is there a reason why she's kind of introverted and doing certain things? Yeah, there is kind of a reason why she's the way she is. Obviously, that will be coming in time. But yeah, she's not completely wrong here, though, what she's saying as far as, Lena, though. But at the same time, she's good though. I like Lena. She's all right. But I think because of the way Semyon is, I could see where like he could probably overlook something with Lena, as opposed to like some of the others. But he kind of goes that way about just about everyone. I would say the only one that he seems to match pretty well with, without questioning, is Slavia, which is kind of funny on that. She's the first girl that I did. It's kind of weird on that. The only truth here is that I don't know her too well, but I'm absolutely positive that she wouldn't hurt anyone. That's your job. Miku could. I mean, this guy doesn't know Miku at all. Now Miku is the one I know least amount of as far as this game goes, but everybody says she's the one to try to avoid, or at least when it comes to her ending, everybody says it's confusing as shit. I don't know. I need to see it for myself to see what I think of it anyway. I'm already kind of curious about Miku, probably more than the rest of the camp. That even includes Lena, who a lot of people like. You know, I have to see her for myself when I get there, but I'm enjoying this route so far, because we see different sides of Alisa here. It's like, which is kind of refreshing, you see like the way she usually is, but then you also see other sides to her that when she starts to open up. But you also kind of know why she acts a certain way. We sit in silence for some time. I held Alyssa's hand and didn't know what to do next. Okay. The solution dawned upon me all by itself. You have to go and apologize. Okay. Why the hell should I? Let's try to act as arrogant as always, but it wasn't going to work this time. Because I said so. Oh, jeez. Somehow I don't think that's going to work. Used to hear any objections and dragged it to the side of the bonfire. Oh, boy. Olga, I'm sorry, we have some urgent business to deal with, so we have to leave early. The guidance officer tried to object, but I didn't listen and headed after Lena, pulling Alisa along with me. After some time, I released her hand. Any objections? All the pride and arrogance had left Alisa's face long ago. If you want me to come with you, I will, but I have nothing to apologize for. I told her the truth. We'll see about that then. I cut her short. We had been walking in silence until we entered the camp. Is she shivering, or is there something else going on with her? I'm guessing that's probably what this motion's supposed to be. We came to the square, and I asked Alisa, "Where do we go next?" How should I know? And who said that they know Lena well? Was it me? Alisa hesitated. Well, she could be at the island. She often goes there when she wants to be alone. Excellent. We headed to the pier. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Talk about coming during the day. It's kind of an interesting scene. Coming here at night, it looks spooky as shit. I don't know. It's just something about it. Like, compare back there, with the old camp, there's something with it, it can seem somewhat gloomy because it's abandoned kind of thing. But here, it's like, I don't know, this seems even more, because obviously you're out there in the water. There's something about, being out at sea somewhere in the dark. That'd be creepy as hell, because you never know, like fish and different things, they make kind of noise, right? Anything could startle you out there. I don't know. Night came down on the camp while I searched for paddles and pottered around with the ropes. One rope was actually missing. Okay, today's your lucky day. You get to do several killer exercises that will build up your biceps, triceps, and other arm muscles. I said sarcastically. Are you serious? Alyssa cast a fearful glance at me. Well, perhaps that was a little too rough, even for her. Alright, I won't make you row, of course. That hardly sounded confident. Swinging the paddles appeared to be much harder this time. Well, that's not surprising, considering that today I must have already filled my annual rowing quota. I stopped in the middle of the river to catch my breath. In some ways, Alyssa's CG here, which is similar to when Lena and Slavia was in the boat with him, here, Alyssa's look kind of reminds you a little bit of Lena's look, but different color hair. But it's but she's sitting in this position where Slavia was, as opposed to where Lena was. It's kind of interesting there. Camp was covered by night, a trivial and ordinary night. It was one of those nights when the dark sky, stars, and crescent moon don't make you feel anything special, and chirping crickets and twittering birds sound like they're doing a dull routine job, rather than performing an otherwise excellent nocturne. I was staring into the darkness trying to make out the shadowy island. How did you get to know her? Alyssa shivered a little. We grew up together, she answered slowly after some hesitation, and ended up at the same pioneer camp. What a fabulous coincidence. All these questions, mysteries, and fears that had been so well hidden so far suddenly spawned in my head. Damn, I could just throw her out of the boat and drown her right here now. My goodness. You won't, though. I can demand answers. Although it could be dangerous unless I'm sure that I know what I'm doing. I'm sure you don't here. But still, I thought that this time I was playing with the white pieces so I could make the first move, and not just parry the blows of the opponent. So what kind of camp is this? Alyssa stared at me blankly. Where are we? Why am I here? She kept silent. Answer me, I shouted. Hey, what's wrong with you? If you want me to apologize to Lena, I will. That's when I realized how stupid I was acting, to say the least. Yeah, see, him asking about why he's in this camp is probably going to get everybody having the same answer, which is kind of funny for him, you know. I think that they know, but they don't want to say, you know, that's the thing about it, you know. She could simply be uninvolved in all that stuff. And what's more, one can't lie that convincingly. Alyssa's fearful expression was yet another reason to believe her. Sorry. That was all I was able to say at the moment. I mean, when he asked Slavia a little bit, she kind of threw him the same puzzled question too, puzzled look as well a little bit when he asked her about, you know, the island and things like that. But she danced around it a little bit, if you recall. But like, it's interesting how it works. Yet I wanted to keep my advantage. The last few meters were really tough. Exhausted, I got out of the boat and lay on the cold ground. Alyssa stood nearby, staring at me. I thought she was about to goad me or utter some barbed witticism, but since she remained silent, I assumed she was still shocked or something. Even though it was rather dark here, it would be easier to hide in my old flat than on this tiny island. Furthermore, Lena must have already heard us as we were crossing the river, so by now it's already too late to ask Alyssa any more questions, even though I still had some. Listen, I looked at her but saw nothing. It was a dark night and I didn't have cat's eyes. Well, when we find Lena, you're going to tell her you never wanted to hurt her feelings and everything that happened in the morning was nothing but a misunderstanding, okay? My voice didn't sound as confident as it did a couple of minutes ago, but confident enough. Does he even realize that what they even talked about back there? I'm going to guess only a portion of the conversation he heard. He didn't even clearly understood that they were talking about him. I don't know. Said nothing, and it was clear the look on her face that she agreed. I stood up and went out to find Lena. Okay. Her boat was tied to a snag on the far side of the island. That's very clever of her. One wouldn't see the boat from afar. I mumbled. Well, that means she's somewhere in the trees. Let's find her. I headed into the grove, but Alyssa stood still. What's up? I thought we discussed everything already. It's not that. It's just that it's dark in there. I had to strain my eyes to make out her face. The grove is smaller than my grandmother's daisy garden. What is there to be afraid of? Alyssa didn't answer. If you want to know what I'm thinking, I would gladly just leave you here. I never know what trick you're up to. For once, I don't think she is. Well, she came very close to me. Let's go like this. She took my hand. Ah, interesting. I hadn't expected this outcome. Neither did I, but it's working though. Like I said, if these eyes didn't take away from the fact that her eyes were a different color, you would almost mistake her sometimes for Slavia on certain occasions, because she's kind of a redhead. But on certain scenes that they do, though, they make it look like she's got blonde hair. It's kind of funny though. My chest turned red and hot. My breath was taken away, and I could barely say anything. The whole situation didn't favor conversation, which was probably for the best, since I doubt I would be able to say anything smart. Slowly we headed into the grove. In a couple of moments, I regained some control of myself. Come on, there's really nothing to be afraid of. We came here during the day gathering some strawberries. No big deal. Just a normal birch grove. It's really nice here during the day. I added after a short pause. Alyssa didn't look at me, she was staring somewhere into the distance. Well, it's up to you after all. A few moments later, she pointed somewhere in front of us. There she is. I peered into darkness, but could barely see anything. Oh boy. When we came closer, we saw Lena sitting beside a tree, and she's crying. Good lord. She was crying. That's what I just said. Why have you come here? She asked tearfully. And you? She looked at Alyssa but didn't finish the sentence. That moment, Alyssa released my hand. Well, you see, I just wanted to apologize for being somewhat harsh and rude. Alyssa interrupted me. Her voice had regained that usual arrogance of hers. Maybe it's because she didn't want to look weak in front of Lena. No, if she knows her, it's because she's going to go about it in her own way here. What a perfect apology. Not walking the walk, are you? How clever of you to insist that I'm doing a bad thing and then do that same thing yourself. Lena switched to shouting uncontrollably. You got it all wrong. I get what I've seen. You see, girls, you're arguing again, and I seem to be somehow involved in all that, but I don't understand a thing. My goodness. Wow, with Lena, it would be kind of a surprise, because we didn't really do too many points with her, other than, the strawberries and coming back from the island, but other than that, not too many choices, no. So, but you didn't catch a little bit back there, Simeon, or what saying to about Alyssa here. Use that braid of yours, man. Explain it to him. Good lord. Lena said to Alyssa with a grin. There's nothing to explain. Well, maybe you will let me have a try then. Whatever. She crossed her arms over her chest and turned away. Well then, Simeon. She blamed me for pursuing you. Pursuing? Well, I didn't really notice, unless if you're talking about the little incident back there. Unless if Alyssa saw it, because they did leave on the boat. Maybe that's kind of something there. I don't know. Okay, it's interesting. We'll see where this is going. For a minute there was complete silence. Lena didn't look like explaining any further. I stood still, trying to assemble the scattered pieces of the puzzle into a whole. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. It's not like that. That's not what I meant. Interrupted Alyssa. Of course. And now you're back to crying. How's that work? You've always been like this. Lena burst into tears again. Wait, how come? So Lena likes me. Bingo, bud. Wow. And you? What about you? You're trying to convince me that it's all wrong while you're holding his hand. What, so Alyssa likes me too? Damn, it's taking you forever to figure that one out there, Semyon. It's kind of funny how they're just throwing Lena in this situation. I'm guessing, though, whoever you're pursuing, it's like, whoever you have more points for, the person is kind of more or less who they're talking about. But I'm curious if the conversation will go when I do Lena's, when I go for her type thing, if it's going to play out in a similar way here, because I can kind of see it, a little bit, where these two, it's like, somebody's going to get a broken heart kind of thing. Is that what they're trying to portray here? Not really sure. Oh, come on, Alyssa actually liking someone? That can't be happening. That's where you don't know her at there, bud. You think of only one thing because you don't really try to kind of figure her out. You just think she's one way. That's kind of the way you go about it. It's just it was dark in here, and that's so much like you. Always so arrogant, always trying to control others, but when it comes to yourself, Alyssa didn't answer. I really felt like I had to say something to defuse the situation. Hey, wait. Perhaps we just got it all wrong. I. This has nothing to do with you. Sure it does. Alyssa's voice was oddly distant. Judging by the conversation, this has everything to do with me. Wow, at least you're starting to use that brain there. Yeah, it does. Ask her what she thinks of you, why she told me not to go after you. I don't think Lena was actually going after me. That's because you don't really know her there, Simeon. You just think because she goes about, in a socially shy kind of way, you don't think that the girl's has an agenda there. Like, everybody goes about things in their own pace, as I always say, right? I'm telling you, once again, we heard enough of your story already. Oh boy. Lena shut up and ran away into the darkness. I stood nailed to the spot, not sure what to do next. If I followed Lena now, what would I say when I found her? After all, I don't even understand what this is all about. My cluelessness and silly attempts to console her would only upset her more. Now, in part of Lena's route, if you're pursuing her, in some ways I can understand why Lena goes and does what she does. But it doesn't really make sense why Simeon follows in pursuit of the same thing. So kind of the reason why I'm going to try to avoid that when I get to her route. Now, I can see where some of it kind of makes sense because these two, it's kind of like, uh, you know, it's like you're going for that. Lena, it's more like, okay, like, because you're pursuing one, only the other one's going to get hurt in the end. So it's like, I wouldn't play out in the same fashion. So, yeah. Guess we better let her be alone for some time. That didn't sound very confident. Whatever. Without another word, Alyssa headed back to the boat.